roses come in many different varieties, shapes, and sizes. And you really need to determine, what you're looking for. Are you looking for a rose to use as a cut flower? Or are you using a rose sort of as a shrub that doesn't really want to get too tall in height? Or are you looking for more of a climbing rose? You first need to determine all those things. Now keep in mind that there are now more easily grown roses with less disease problems, less pest problems, that are much more carefree. And some of the groups that you might look at might be the knockout rose, the Madeleine roses, the drift roses, and they all have different purposes. They come in a wide variety of colors. Personally, I like the brightly colored roses, roses that really come out and glow. Additionally, then you have the hybrid tea roses, and these are roses that are well suited for using as cut flowers, and many of them are extremely fragrant, and in a minute I'll show you some of my favorite hybrid tea roses. Now those you will prune a little differently, so we're going to talk a little bit about the pruning of your shrub roses, your climbing roses, and your hybrid tea roses. Keep in mind on some of your climbing roses or your roses that you've got trained up trellises, or it might be side to side as an entrance into your garden, you prune those a little differently. Some of those roses bloom on 1 year and 2-year-old wood. So I really recommend a thinning process, and that is where you take out some of these long canes. You do this early in the spring, and then you leave some of these long canes, because these long canes are the ones that are going to flower for you. And then at the same time, you're going to train new young canes to come up to replace them. Now also remember, on some of these types of roses, there'll be side shoots or side branches coming off a main lateral, and those you also just might thin them out. And occasionally, if they do get too big, you can remove one of these large canes. But again, you do that early in the spring, thinning, and that means no more than 20% of the growth. Pruning shrub roses can be pretty simple, especially if you're dealing with one of the new disease-resistant knockout roses. And these roses will get just as big as you want them to get. So, you want to have it almost at my height, that's great. Do very little pruning, maybe just a little bit of thinning and shaping. On the other hand, what you can do is come in and early in the spring prune them to maybe 12 inches or 24 inches and maybe perform a little bit of thinning out. And, occasionally if they get too big in the summer, you can just tip them back, and I'll show you that in just a minute. But these are great roses to grow for color all season long. Now these particularly don't lend themselves very well for using as a cut flower as some of the hybrid teas, which I will show you. Hybrid tea roses are pruned a little differently. Sometime in October or, fall, before threat of real cold weather hits, they're tipped to about 30 inches tall so they don't break over during the winter with snow or ice or wind. And then after threat of cold weather in the spring, sometime in April, they're cut back to about 12 to 18 inches from the ground. And then you select, anywhere from 3 to nice 6 canes that will produce what you see here. Now, once your hybrid tea roses are fading, if you look closely at this flower, you'll see there's a couple sets of leaves. I usually go about 1 or 2 lower sets of leaves, and I cut right above that leaf, and there is a leaf bud that's right inside that leaf right here, and I'm going to cut about 1/8 of an inch right above that leaf bud. At a 45-degree angle, cut that angles away from the bud so the water sheds off in the opposite direction of where your new flower bud will come from. Two of my favorite hybrid tea roses include double delight and fragrant cloud. Oh, I mean, you can't find anything more fragrant than these for your garden, and they're great to cut and bring indoors. I'm Mark Viette. Join me next time in the garden.
For more garden tips, go to the In the Garden website. That's inthegardenradio.com.